Hey there, everybody. Another fishing podcast is back. I am Pete Wagner. I'm here with my friend Gregory Underdahl. We have big plans for this evening, don't we, Greg?
We've got great big plans. This is going to be groundbreaking.
All right, I can feel that hot energy. Let's rip this up.
This isn't another podcast. This is another fishing podcast.
So here we sit, another night. Everybody's out having a good time. But what are we doing? We are both in our homes. I think you're at home, right? Are you at home?
I mean, No, I'm not.
You're not. You're on the road
again.
Oh
I'm on the road.
This makes it fun because I don't know. It feels more exotic when you're somewhere that's not Buffalo.
Well, it is more exotic, and it's also more nerve-wracking because number one, when I do these mobile podcasts, I'm using a GoPro, and our last podcast, that was podcast 17, is that right?
Yep.
So we had some audio issues. And in fact, that's still that same video, the strangest thing. So I listened to that podcast, the actual podcast, iTunes podcast.
The audio version.
The audio version, right. Coming back after, being in Clear Lake, California, basically I was driving home from the airport. And so I was listening to the podcast, and the audio sounded great, right? Well, I looked like the whole thing. I could hear. I was like, I don't know what Pete was talking about. I sounded okay.
On iTunes?
Because on iTunes, yeah. But you got to keep in mind. So I'm playing it. So in my car, I've got this phono input. I don't know what it is. When you just plug it into the car, and then it's I don't know what you call it.
It's a stereo. It's a stereo input, just a audio input.
Yeah. So I put that in, and I'm listening to it over the speakers of the car, and I can hear myself just fine, And you were complaining that it was weird, like it was this distant audio,
right?
Up until like the 46-second mark, right? Well, here's the deal. So today, fast forward, I don't know, a couple days later, I'm like, I'm just going to check out what the video looked like, on our YouTube channel. Dude, I've got no audio. There's zero audio when I was looking at it on my phone.
So you were
and then
watching...
also when I then went back and just was listening to the podcast on my phone without any, without headphones plugged into it or anything, I couldn't hear myself also.
On iTunes.
On iTunes, just by listening on my phone.
So initially,
the speakers coming out of the phone.
So when you first heard it, you were listening on phone speakers, or no?
No, I was listening. I had it plugged into my car, and I was listening through the speakers of the car.
Right, iTunes.
Correct. But what I'm saying is I think if you listen to it, if you watch it or you listen to it on your phone, you do not hear my audio.
That is bizarre. Yeah, because I pulled it up on my phone too. And this is, you live and you learn. And by the way, if anybody tuned that in and was frustrated by it, I'm going to figure out a way, hopefully, to maybe just turn it into some sort of mono feed, because that makes me less confident I can fix it, honestly, what you just told me.
What it sounds like is a pan issue.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like.
It's a pan of that track.
But you think it sounds...
What's that?
You thought it sounded fine the first 45 minutes when you heard it? Heard it?
But it's because I'm hearing the way I'm plugged into the car. It's somehow tapping into it. What I think is going on is that whole channel, for whatever reason, it's either the left channel or the right channel is dead. Okay, and what happens is, for whatever reason, at the 46-second mark, the right connection occurred while I was recording, that both left and right came in. Right. And so what you have up until that point is only you only have like the left channel or something, or the right channel going. So what you do is you select, not to bore everybody listening to this, but you basically you select that clip, that audio clip, and you go into the settings, and there's a pan setting, and you just pan it to the center, and you just make sure that on your audio meters you've got 2 audio meters going. You know what I mean? Not just one side.
You pan it to the center?
You want to pan it so you got you're making it mono, but you've got both channels are basically on, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? It's not going to be stereo
when I get
but
into
it's
it.
going to be, yeah.
We got some reports of people not being able to hear you. And when I was seeing people making comments about it, I thought they were just commenting on the fact that it sounded sort of not perfect, Yeah. So it goes.
So it goes. It's a learning experience, but it's a pan issue for whatever reason. What I suspect is that it's not, it's only reading one. It was only recording one channel of audio, and that's why it sounded distant to you.
Right. And the best part about the whole thing was when it finally kicked in 45 minutes in, there was like this small pop which I pulled out of there, and then your mic sounded great. And at that time we were discussing how we had audio problems, but we finally got everything tuned in. It was that moment.
Well, what's scary about it is that this is how I do my kayak videos. This is how I have audio for my kayak videos.
And this is why,
knock on wood, I've never had that happen really out there. Like,
dare we say,
can you imagine?
Dare we say anything bad about GoPros, because the whole world seems to be in love with them, but I've had entire shoots where, I used to try and have a wireless mic on me, and I've had that connection come loose, like that USB connection come loose in the GoPro.
Right.
And instead of, it switching to the external mic, there's still enough connection there where it just cuts out all audio.
Yep.
Which is maddening. I mean, you get home and the entire day is just blank. I mean, it should at least switch to the external mic if it loses that connection, but there's an in-between area there, which is really, really frustrating to me. And ever since that, I don't completely trust it, but you can pull them up on your app and verify there's audio, but at any point these things can go off and then you don't know it,
Yeah, it's super, it's great when it works, but you kind of have to, I've made it a point to, really make sure that I'm checking the connections every so often.
Right. And I'm not sure, like that camera of yours is really cool and does some really cool stuff, but that's not perfect either for everything. Maybe unless you played with it enough.
What camera?
The one with the gimbal.
Oh, right.
It's great for certain things, but it's not like a catch-all like a GoPro is,
Right. Yep.
And I still don't know if anyone has passed GoPro on that one yet. You probably know better than me. I know there's some pretty cool stuff out there.
I think DJI is. I actually think if you were to look at 2 companies right now that are they're not even similar anymore, but DJI is they got into making drones, right? Well, they've really become more diversified so that they're making cameras, like they're making gimbals, like for handheld, camera work, using the technology that they first had on their drones.
Right.
They've moved to the ground, and now they've really taken a shot across the bow of GoPro with this. First of all, the Osmo Pocket, which I have, but they just came out with the Osmo Action, and dude, it's a GoPro. It's an improved GoPro. It's got a screen. It's got a front screen as well, so that you can do selfies with it. You can see yourself. You can vlog with it.
Is it big?
It's the size of a GoPro. And here's the thing, too, dude. It's $50 cheaper than a GoPro. So like, as far as a diversified company, dude, DJI is way more diversified because they're essentially a camera company, a gimbal company, and a drone company. And GoPro is just an action cam company.
So is it a camera that just has that focus, distant and far, like the same?
Yeah, it's the same. It's got a fixed, focal.
Yeah, I'd be interested to try
You don't
one.
get shallow depth of field with GoPro. It's the same with the Osmo Action. But what's cool about the Osmo Pocket is that you do get that shallow depth of field. But the thing is, too, is like the face tracking on that Osmo Pocket. You can slow that down. I know we've had a problem with that, but there's a ton to learn on that Osmo Pocket yet. So
that's the thing. You could probably tune it in. And that being said, like I've never purchased any piece of electronics without having moments of disappointment with it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever purchased the perfect. If I had, I wouldn't need anything else, I guess.
Like even before we started here, this GoPro that I'm using, this is what I'm talking to, it just wouldn't turn on. So I had to take the battery out and then put the battery back in, and this is a Hero 7, and I've had the same thing happen.
It seems to me like these threes just are the ones that have been the most. We've said it before.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem like before they started, forcing software. They try to fit everything. It's like the curse that Windows had. That they tried to be everything for everybody.
Right.
And it was such a massively complicated operating system that the average Joe didn't even understand what 99% of it was for. It's like, I just wanted to turn on, and then I wanted to browse the internet when I want to browse the internet. I don't want to do an update. I don't want to, you can just get caught in a vortex playing around with Windows. Not that any other operating system isn't, but Apple's better, but they fall into those same trappings because they're trying to please the nerds and the grandpa and grandmas. And I think that happens with these cameras. They try to do too much with it because they try to, they want everyone that looks at it say, oh, that fits what I'm looking for too, and then eventually all those features start running into each other in a software fashion. And that's as complicated as I can get, but there's always a blip,
No, you're right. It's what's happening with, everything that they're packing into a GoPro is really amazing when you think about it. All the different frame rates, resolutions, stabilization.
And we take it for granted.
It's got voice control.
Yeah.
It's got a screen in the back. It's got all these things it's doing. It's really incredible in that small a package, So it's just the nature of the beat. There's going to be glitches with these things, and you just kind of roll through them. But I agree. I think the Hero 3 is probably, of all the GoPros, the Hero 3, Hero 3 Plus, the least amount of glitch. I mean, that's a workhorse. I think I've heard good things about the Hero 4 as well, but the Hero 3 is a flippin' workhorse, man.
Right, and the good mic, the non-waterproof, which is a downside to some extent, but
the mic on it, which we've discussed before, but the fact on a chesty, it's like the quality of these high-dollar electrosonics mics, these professional mics I have.
It's like a lapel mic because it's right under your chin.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the audio on the Hero 3s.
So where is DJI based? Are they an American company? Oh, they are.
No, they're based in China. Huh. And so I theorize what's going on is all these drones that are up in the air, that they're all DJI drones. They're like DJI owns the market. I theorize that all these drones are flying around America, and the Chinese are mapping all of America. They know it's like they're Google mapping it, but their version of it, and then they're gonna invade.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely. They're making a push, and it's very obvious. It's right under my nose. I have a DJI drone in my closet, which I've never flown before. Yeah. So I'm the only one, that. Yeah, I'm the only one that has one that's kept it locked away because I'm terrified of it.
It's it could become self-aware.
Well, thank you for that drone before it kills me.
Sleep well.
So where are you? I guess I never got to even figure out.
I am doing a Major League Fishing event. I think I have to kind of keep it under wraps somewhat.
Right.
On this particular one.
Yeah.
But it's I'm in Mountain Home, Arkansas. So Arkansas, which is not far from, actually, I went to a Walmart today, second Walmart ever in the country. The first Walmart was like in Bentonville, which is like just up the road. So I'm in Walmart.
You're in Walmart country.
Country, yeah.
Which, by the way, I have something else to ask you about because, I hate to admit, but you have, a fair amount of expertise in this area. So I'm heading into the Boundary Waters in a couple of weeks, and every year I like to upgrade a couple of things. And one this year I'm forced to upgrade because my Humminbird, I can't even remember. Yeah, Humminbird. It was a portable fish finder, and it's not like the piranhas you see now that screw mount, so to speak. This one, do you know which one I'm talking about? It kind of came in its own. Do you remember what the model was? On that one?
Are you talking about a Lowrance unit, or
no,
this was a Humminbird?
It was the original sort of canoe kayak
okay.
Humminbird. It had a suction cup transducer on it, so you could just slap it on the side of the canoe. Did you ever own one of those?
I actually own one now. I have a Lowrance one that I won at a kayak tournament last fall.
Okay, so they're becoming really hard to find, and I don't know if the one you're referring to is still available. So mine still works, but you have to press the power cable really hard into the unit to make it work.
Okay.
So essentially it doesn't work. And I called Humminbird, and they gave me some numbers on what it was going to cost to fix, and it was kind of what a different fish finder would cost nowadays.
Right.
Which is kind of frustrating, because usually Johnson Fishing, which owns Humminbird, they're pretty good about this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't like overexcited to help me with a discontinued model that they don't seem to have a lot of faith in anymore. So Humminbird came out with, and where I'm going with this is I'm curious as to the perfect fish finder to bring with on a camping trip. So Boundary Waters, the big things are, you want it to be light as possible, the whole unit, because you have to pack it in. 5 pounds is a lot.
Right.
B, you don't have a way to recharge a decent battery source. So everything I've ever used up there is AAA batteries.
Okay.
And if it's a black and white screen, for the most part, 2 sets of 6 batteries will take you through an entire week of fishing 10 hours a day. It's pretty amazing how long those things last. They don't drain batteries very much.
Right.
But I couldn't find anything out there. And today I bought the Humminbird Fishing Buddy. So do you know what I'm talking about with the Fishing Buddy?
Yeah.
So the Fishing Buddy, all it is a clamp that rotates so you can clamp it onto anything. And on top of that is your unit, which is just a waterproof unit.
Yeah. So what's the question here? You already got it.
Well, is there anything out there? So the problem with this is there's the transducer from this unit is about 2 feet long, and then it sticks into the water.
Yeah.
And the whole unit weighs about 6 pounds. It runs on batteries.
Yeah.
And I bought it because this was the best one I could find, and I kept thinking
it's the only thing I'm aware of.
Isn't that crazy?
That's the only thing I'm aware of.
It's like with your kayak trailer. Like, how is there not something else? There were some pretty awesome little units out there, but everything I looked at, people were coming up with these crazy rigging systems just to make them work in their boats.
Yeah, wait. Hold on.
I will.
Look up a company called Deeper. Deeper, and just be careful. You might go to some shady.
I know where you're going with this. You're talking about a grave digging site?
Deeper is a fish finder company, newer fish finder company. They may have something, lightweight, runs off AA's or AAA batteries. Because, most of these portable fish finders, like all of them, with the exception of the Fishing Buddy and this Deeper company, are running, that 12-volt, battery that you use for, your portable ice fishing, setup, fish finding setup, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fish finder setup. You don't want something that heavy, correct, is what you're saying?
Correct, but the other issue is you need a transducer that, and a lot of guys, will bring silicone.
Look
Keep
up
in mind,
look at that deeper company.
I'm looking at it right now, so this is where I'm going. A lot of guys, when they go up, you're renting a canoe, so you can't sort of rig it the way you want to rig it.
No, I understand.
And the cool part of what I could do with that old one is I could set that thing in the boat, let it get wet, but you could actually bring silicone with and make a silicone ring below your seat in the canoe, and you could put water in that ring, and you could set the transducer under your seat and get a perfect reading, which is great because you won't get any drag from your transducer when you're out plowing around. But I'm looking at it deeper here, and like all the Wi-Fi remote transducers aren't going to work. Do you know what I mean? Is that all they make?
I was curious to see if they had anything else. But
I'm
saying
looking at one right here, but they have the transducers. It looks like a bobber,
right?
Deeper smart sonar. And the problem with that is a lot of times when you're up there, you're just trolling around and you're trying to mark fish, and then you're swinging around and stopping on top of them. So when
wait
you're
a minute,
moving,
what's this here? This one looks like you can. It's got a mount. You see this?
What's the model?
Deeper Fish Finder, deeper gooseneck mount holder. It's at Walmart.
Gooseneck mount holder. So it's like it takes that transducer and
makes it a regular turn. Yeah, makes like a regular, like a transom. Like a transom mounted transducer.
And is it like, how does it lock on to the? I'm looking at it, but I can't tell.
Well, you just on the gunnel somewhere.
Oh, it's got a clamp.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I would go that route. I would look into that more, but that might be the route to go for.
See, like I picked up that Humminbird, which I figured I'd keep it around anyway, just because it's handy to have one. That was like, I got it for like $140, which is really good because Humminbird was listing them at like $270, $280. But it's a color screen, and that's where you run into start cranking through batteries. But and some of these have a black and white setting, which you can go to, and it saves you.
Right.
But do you know, like, it doesn't show me any screenshots of the actual fish finder.
You got to use your phone. It's for your phone. The fish finder's on your phone.
Oh, see, that's a bit of a problem too.
Well, wait a minute. All right, are you bringing your phone?
I'm bringing my phone, but
are you bringing solar panels to charge your phone or anything like that, or like?
I'm bringing solar panels, so I got like a solar panel in the boat that has like a 4,000 whatever that rating is battery built into it.
Right.
And this is the other purchase I made.
4,000 milliamp, I think, is what you're talking about.
Right, because before what I would do is I would bring a bunch of battery packs with me, because my solar panel was a slow charger, and I don't even know the one I bought today how fast it's going to charge. It would take forever just to charge up your phone, so I couldn't depend on my phone, but I would bring enough battery packs, which sucks because they're heavy, and then I could recharge my system. But the solar panel I bought today is a big fat battery. It opens up into 4 pieces. It's waterproof, so you can hang it in the rain. It'll charge in the rain, as long as there's solar juice coming through. And I think I'm going to have a fully powered battery with 2 USB inputs in the boat now. And you start flirting with danger when you start depending upon too much electronics up there,
Right, but I just, this is the best option, I think. Like,
for me, like, my number one focus is keeping the cameras charged, because I'm filming the whole time, So if I'm stealing my, allotted amount of power I have to keep a battery charged up for my phone, I'm kind of playing.
This is all I got, man. That's all I got.
Well, that's
what
I was curious. I'll check it out for sure and see what the deal is. So I wonder why that thing is $200 then. It doesn't even have a screen. It's just the transducer. Have you seen one in action yet?
Not really. I mean, they promote the heck out of them here, lately. But
just because you're seeing that on like kayak sites and stuff. Like, I've never seen it before.
I see this for use as like a, like what you're talking about, going off. You want something really lightweight, easy. You're traveling. You don't want, anything. It's the only, other than that fishing buddy, that's the only thing that I'm aware of. I mean, someone listening might be able to help us out in the comments.
If anyone knows, I'd love to hear. And, you could just bring an old phone with you, too. That's the other thing. You don't want to drop a phone in the lake up there, obviously. But
Right, but I would like, so you ever use Goal Zero stuff at all?
No.
Like, I have 3 Goal Zero batteries that are freaking awesome. They're like 4 inches by, I don't know, 5 inches by 4 inches or whatever. They're a little bit bigger than a cell phone. They're like an iPhone 10 size.
Right, they're like cell phone batteries.
Yeah, and that's what I use when I do a kayak video. That's what I'm powering my GoPros with. But, you pair that up with a solar panel, and I mean, that should get you by pretty good. And it's not like you need to be looking at your phone all the time, the fish finder all the time. Or maybe you want to, I don't know, but...
It is nice. And the other thing is you're paddling, so you can't hold your phone.
So why can't you use the fishing buddy? It's just too big and awkward?
It's just big to pack in, I think.
Yeah, I hear
Maybe I'm overthinking it when it gets here, but my backpack is packed so tight, you can't shove a apple in there,
Right.
So I just have to make sure that lies in there and fits right. And the other thing is, like, if I came up with a setup where I could mount my phone on the canoe gunnel, and then
just have a little external battery going into it that you just that you're I mean, you could also be charging it probably at the same time with a solar panel.
I think I need 2 solar panels. I think the cool part about that solar panel is it's got a big battery in it, and that's the first time I've ever seen that before. So if I keep one back at the camp charging, well, it's also charging 2 batteries connected to it, and then I've got my solar in the boat, and that's charging the phone that I'm looking at and the GoPro, because it's got 2 USB outputs. That might actually work,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could try one out, I don't know if I've ever seen one in a store where I could, give it a shot.
Yeah,
and take it back.
they're at all over now. Walmart, Dick's,
I saw a lot of them, and I actually bought a pretty awesome, I upgraded my camp radio, and it's totally waterproof, solar panel on top. It's got the crank start, all the fun stuff. So that stuff is getting so much better. The solar stuff is so perfect for up in that neck of the woods. But you are filming all day. I hate when I have to stop filming, so I have to bring 12 SD cards. It's just one camera all the time, and then I use my phone for extra footage. But yeah, it's something to think about. I'll check it out for sure. I figured you'd be in on the kayak no. And the other thing about that fishing buddy is I don't know exactly if that clamp is going to work perfect for a canoe, like a Kevlar canoe.
Right.
There's not a lot on a Kevlar canoe.
That's someone should make a fish finder, super portable, runs on just AA's or AAA batteries, and that like the fishing buddy, it's like this awkward thing. I know what that thing looks like. It's like, you would think but for these pack-in trips like you're doing, definitely there's a need for that product.
And I think Humminbird has already abandoned the fishing buddy because on their website all 5 models just said out of stock, which sounds suspicious. But what's the battery power in the deeper Wi-Fi unit?
I have no idea.
That works?
I have no idea. Just
can you take that? It looks like a little globe, but I wonder if you just take it apart and there's. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's, I know they're castable. That's the thing about them. So you cast them out, which I think. For a shore fisherman, I could see maybe applications.
Right.
But obviously, with that mount, that's going to make it more of a product that you could use.
Yeah. I definitely like it. I would not have any reason, especially up there. Fish aren't that spooked by you being over the top of them,
Right.
They're just not used to seeing boats go overhead. They're not freaked out by it, and you can just sit right on top of walleye in 6-7 feet of water and catch them, and you can see them almost. It's almost like pan fishing,
Yeah.
So it's a little different beast up there, but that is the only other option I think I've ever seen. I mean, I looked on Amazon. There was a bunch of those type of units, and most of them just look really cheesy, but a lot of them had a handheld that wasn't a phone. They gave you a separate screen.
Right.
But some of them weighed under a pound. It was a pretty impressive unit to move around, but I just couldn't justify having a floating transducer. I'm like, well, that's not going to work.
Right.
But
right.
Well, that's a good route to go.
Do you think we still have people listening? Is this exciting?
Isn't kayak fishing huge? Aren't people looking for transducers for their kayak?
They're just using, honestly, kayak fishermen are doing their darndest to make their kayaks into full-fledged bass boats.
They really are. The rigging is getting crazy. I saw a lot of that today.
So, it's the big reason I got into kayak fishing was because I couldn't afford, a big boat.
I think that's the pretty standard reason.
Yeah, I mean, I when I went freelance, I sold my bass boat. And so, and I'm like, well, I'm jumping into the unknown. I can't have a big boat payment hanging over my head. So I
what
went
do you
to
have for a
kayak.
transducer on that one?
What do you mean?
On the new canoe, do you have the suction cup transducer?
No. I have it's basically, it's a transducer arm. I had to kind of customize it a little bit, but it's
I did see that.
It's a fish finder mounted on a slide mount that affixes to the track system, and then I also have on that slide mount I have an arm that the transducer, it's a bendable arm, and I put it right in the water when I'm ready to use the fish finder, and then when I'm ready to travel, I bring it back, the arm back into the boat, into the kayak.
Yeah, so I remember you doing that. That is a pretty a slick set. That's a great kayak too, in general.
Yeah, I've made it. I mean, I've made it as close to a bass boat as I possibly can. So it's not like I don't understand why people do that to their kayaks. I get it.
Right.
But yeah,
you can't stop. You get started. You're like,
and I've made it into a production studio as well with all the cameras around.
Right.
So
it starts to get heavier, and everything's a little bit tougher.
And then the setup, before you get out on the water.
And more things can break, and,
What I'm looking at my battery here, Pete. Keep on talking. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get out of the shot right now. It doesn't even matter for people just watching the audio, but I need to we're talking about external batteries, and we're talking, portable batteries. I'm actually going to hook up my battery to my GoPro right now before it dies.
Oh, you were just going old school on that.
I was going old school. I'm looking at the battery meter right now. I'm like, I might want to be a little.
So it seems like that last bar goes pretty quick.
So you'll see, this is the battery pack. This is a Goal Zero. Special edition is the black Goal Zero. I love this battery pack.
And I've got the anchor. This is a little anchor. I have a lot of little anchors. Remember, we were using those lipstick size ones when we were fishing with Maina, and those work great when you're hiking with them.
Oh yeah,
I like those tiny ones.
Yeah, they were good.
Those have a tendency to turn off sometimes, which is the most ridiculous feature on a battery. A battery should just be on if something's plugged in it. I mean, why would you do that?
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
That's a bit of a stupid feature.
It is. I've never had to turn off during a fish or something, but there'll be times my camera just run out of juice. I'm like, what? Oh, and then I got to fire that thing back up and wait for it to charge again. Pretty fun.
So I just connected this thing, and it's acting like it's it's acting like it should be powering this thing. I mean, I have it connected, but it's not giving me an indication that it is getting power.
It's not the battery's fault, I'm guessing.
Who knows if it could be? I mean, who knows, man?
So have you actually been fishing yet since you've been home?
No.
So when's the last time you weren't with me?
Since
you went fishing.
It's been the sucker show.
You haven't been fishing in the spring yet?
That's correct.
Oh my God.
That's correct.
The irony of your life is you are constantly watching people fish all day.
So what I do is I don't fish myself. I talk about fishing and I film people fishing, but I don't actually fish myself.
And this is the guy that loves fishing more than any other human being I know. I don't know how.
Well,
you're going to have PSTD.
So here's what's going on, and I want you to understand this because I feel bad about this. I knew I had to bring this up. So I didn't finish the musky show yet.
Yes.
But I put in a whole day's work on it. It's completely, I added the piece that you wanted me to at the end of us singing Firehouse. And I finished the intro. I added, it's all edited. So the final thing that needs to be done now is color correction, audio sweetening, adding the music. So those three things will take about, I could get that done in 2 days. But I came back on a Tuesday, late Tuesday night, okay? So this week, late Tuesday, I came back from emceeing the last Wild West Bass Trail Pro-Am on Clear Lake. So I'm like, okay, my wife is gonna work all day on Wednesday, so I'm like, I'm gonna spend that time editing, trying to, finish the musky show so I could have it up on Tuesday. It's going to be, when this podcast drops, it's going to be the Tuesday, 2 days ago, basically, whatever. That was my plan. Well, the reality is I only have 3 days at home before I leave again, and I'm gone for a week. So I'm like, I spent a good amount of time. The musky show is ready to go. Except for those, all the edits are done, is what I'm saying. The hardest part is over with. But I still didn't have time to finish it because of commitments with my wife and my mom. I took her to an appointment, and I gotta weigh these things. I'm like,
you can't kill your whole
Yeah,
that's impossible.
But that being said, I just want you to know that I spent a day working on it when on that Wednesday I actually could have been fishing. So I still haven't
Right.
I haven't fished.
That's brutal. So we don't have a Tuesday upload then?
Right. So what I'm going to do, so I'm here for Major League Fishing. I am going to try to set up something live on Tuesday. And it might be with a boat official, one of the boat officials here at Major League Fishing, or one of the anglers. And I want to I just want to talk to him, do a live kind of chat. Basically, and it'll be just using my phone, but the state of bass fishing, in particular professional bass fishing, like competitive bass fishing.
Right.
Because, dude, there's a lot going on right now. It's pretty crazy what's kind of happening in competitive bass fishing.
Yeah, it's kind of catching fire again because it was in a sort of weird area there for a while.
Well, it was stagnant. What's exciting, and I know I'm biased, but what's exciting about Major League Fishing is that, and I've said this probably a million times, and maybe I'm just a broken record, but I really believe it. The leadership of this organization is passionate about bass fishing and wanting to take it as far as it can go. Whereas it's debatable whether the other organizations really were doing what needed to be done to take it to the next level. Okay? That's debatable. There's great people in all of the organizations. I've worked with people in all of these, in Bass and FLW. But as far as the leadership at the top, I think Major League Fishing is really got something special. With that being said, man, I used to be so plugged into the bass fishing world. Particularly in my teens and my 20s, I used to be really plugged in. Now, a little less so, right? Living up in Minnesota, there's so many different species to go after. I'm more of a multi-species guy, but I still am best at bass fishing,
You're bass
and I love it, yeah.
Plus, if you
but I'm a little I'm a little less plugged in though, and the reason I bring
work
this
is enough. You can't just go home and
exactly that's what it is, know. But with that being said, dude, so And if this GoPro dies at some point, we'll just start back up. I think because I plugged in the power source after I started recording, it's like,
Why? Why does it have to
I
do
don't
that?
know. I don't know.
And it could be charging and not showing.
Exactly. So we're just going to roll with it. So I must have been living under a rock. So basically a month and a half ago, not even that. No, it was 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm at this Major League Fishing event, and a guy, I'm talking with a guy about bass fishing, and the state of bass fishing. And he goes, "You've heard about Irwin Jacobs, right?" And I go, "What do you mean?" "Yeah, he's the owner of FLW, He's a very wealthy guy, lives in Minneapolis, very controversial in a lot of ways." And I go, "No, I haven't heard anything about Irwin Jacobs." He goes, this guy tells me, he shot his wife and then shot himself. And my jaw just dropped to the floor.
I heard about this guy.
My brother is an attorney in Minneapolis, as you know, Pete. My brother knows of this guy's reputation as a kind of like he had a reputation as kind of a ruthless businessman, okay? He had this mansion on Lake Minnetonka. He shot his wife and then killed himself, then shot himself.
Yeah,
the authorities found them in bed, okay?
She had like some sort of dementia.
Right.
They didn't mention anything about FLW in any article I read.
He owns several companies, but yes, he was the owner of FLW Outdoors. And so basically you have 3 major trails, professional bass fishing trails. You got BASS, Bass, FLW, okay, and Major League Fishing.
What does FLW stand for?
It used to stand for Forrest L. Wood. He was the founder of Ranger Boats, which is the title sponsor.
I always think that's walleye. Yeah, I always think it's walleye just from the acronym. I don't even know that's bass.
Now they changed it to Fishing League Worldwide. So, worldwide, I believe that's right. Yeah. So, what that's going to do, dude, to the landscape of professional bass fishing is really anybody's guess. But there's a camp of fans of bass fishing. I am in this particular camp that believes that if you're going to bring this to the next level, okay, to a mainstream professional level, there can only be one professional trail.
Right.
Okay, and as you can imagine, I hope it's MLF, right? That is on everybody's mind.
It's like with any professional sport.
Right. So what happened with FLW, I'll just say this, there's some things that I've heard, I don't want to spread any rumors around, but it's going to be really interesting what happens in the coming months, because it could...
They got their foundation got shook a bit, huh?
Well, it's interesting. I'm not gonna... It could be a positive in as far as... I'm not saying that it's a tragedy, okay? But out of this tragedy, as far as professional bass fishing becoming more mainstream, getting to that point where it's just one trail, it could go that way because of what happened, I think. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Is FLW based? Is that geographically a certain area, or is it just southern fishing?
But that's just my opinion, though. Say that again.
Is FLW based around a geographic area, like Wild West is?
No, it's basically it's a southern. They go all over except the west for the most part. Sometimes they go west, but it's such a distance to travel that typically they don't.
And they go north sometimes too, like Michigan or Minnesota?
Yep. Yeah, so isn't that crazy?
It is.
So yeah, it's his family. The press release from Irwin Jacobs' family said that it was done because of his wife having dementia, and he didn't want, So, I could see that as definitely.
It sounded like a
reason.
mercy killing. But I remember the kids also were saying, like, I wish he would have reached out to us. Like he kind of just felt alone, and it was a weird deal because I remember that morning hearing stories about there was a big house in Minnetonka with a wealthy couple in it, and 2 people are dead, and those stories always come out initially without any details.
Yeah,
that's kind of looking like that. That's weird. I had no idea that he had a connection to the bass world.
Yeah. So that's that was big news, and somehow I was like, I just completely missed it.
Weird.
I heard a month later. So which is nuts. But yeah,
well,
it's gonna. There's a lot of things happening in the bass fishing world. More, what's going on with Major League Fishing is exciting, and I personally hope that that we get this to a point where I would like to see just one professional bass fishing trail.
Yeah, that'd be good for you. I mean,
well, it's not necessarily good for me. I mean, because I've worked with all of them. But I'm just saying, as a fan of the sport, and if you want this to be considered a mainstream sport, you can't have these 3 competing professional bass fishing trails out there. And they're all like cannibalizing each other, basically. You know what I mean? That's not probably the best way to say it, but, taking sponsor dollars away from each other. If you can get just... but there's a lot of people that don't feel that way. I tend to think that, that that's how you have to think if you want this to be a mainstream sport.
Right.
But
we'll see how it works out. It seems like they're tuning in the recipe. They're getting it figured out to make it more TV friendly, because for 40 years it was essentially the same thing.
Well, that's you ask the leadership at MLF, and that's what they'll say. It was stagnant. There wasn't any fresh thinking.
Right.
And when I first started, saw the first tournament I filmed, Major League Fishing, Lake Amistad, I was like, this is something.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something.
No, it's cool. It takes a lot of people and a lot of resources, but there's emotion to it, and you get a feeling that you're in all the boats, and you're not missing anything, which is hard to capture.
Yeah.
It's like filming a golf tournament where you get 50 different guys running around. You're trying to cover the top 10 all at the same time.
It's very similar. I think golf is the best. Is the closest sport to it.
Yeah.
To bass fishing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cues you can take from golf and apply them to bass fishing, for sure.
Right.
Well,
switching gears, I mentioned this a little bit before, but there was I don't know if I want to say hilarious, but I found it kind of funny, because if you've seen the picture of this boat captain, it explains a lot, So I see this headline that says, "Boat captain arrested for allegedly threatening holding passengers hostage during fishing trip." I'm like, well, that's podcast material, right?
For sure, yeah.
So this is in Florida, and so Captain Mark Bailey, he was hired by a family for a day-long excursion in Sarasota, and they paid $2,000 for this trip, and they brought their friends out. And so 7 hours into the fishing trip, things get a little crazy. So one of the sons of the passengers went to get a beer for his uncle.
Uh-huh.
His uncle's like, "Hey, go grab me a beer," So he went up to the captain's pail on the second deck of the small charter boat, and the kid grabbed a beer, and Captain Bailey, told the teen to put it back. But the kid thought he was joking, and then he brought the beverage down to the group.
Okay.
And so Captain followed him down, grabbed him by the necklace, was broke, and then got into an argument. So then around 2 o'clock, the passengers start asking the captain, hey, you need to take us back to shore, because they can tell something is up. And this really is kind of a worse... This is a nightmare scenario.
It sounds like a horror movie, potentially. Or
It
like
really
a
does.
thriller, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it kind of does, yeah. And Bailey apparently was drinking beer and rum during the trip, which is great. You know, if you're a captain of your own ship and you're actually drinking rum, you know, off the Florida coast, that's very pirate-like, you know. And then one passenger also claimed to have seen the captain snorting cocaine.
Are you kidding me?
And another alleged he was smoking a joint, right?
Oh my
so
gosh.
now we've got beer, rum, cocaine, and
He's a
joint
fan of all of
involved.
it, man.
And so at one point in the trip, he called up one of the guys and said, hey, I have a 9mm, and if I want, quote, I will put a bullet in each of your heads and leave you out here.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and you know, now we're getting into the late afternoon. They've been out there since morning. And so they said now the group's talking about overtaking the captain. But because he's got a gun, you know, they're like, okay, well, what are we going to do here?
The captain
And
does not want to go in.
No, and apparently it says he allegedly shot his handgun approximately 6 times up to that point. So, like, I don't know where he was firing.
Wow.
He's just firing wildly, just making sure everyone's staying in line down on the deck, you know? And then eventually he finally starts heading back to shore. But once he got within 10 miles of the shore, he started going in circles.
Oh,
You know?
no.
So now
This
you have
is
a drunk...
terrible.
You've got
I
a
feel
drunk...
terrible for these people.
I know. And there's kids out there, you know?
And they thought they were... It is like a horror movie.
Oh my God! So, and they were able, because they were 10 miles offshore, they were able to make a call to 911 and the Coast Guard. But I don't think they had a way to tell them exactly where they were. You know, so you can't just say, "Hey, can you come get us?" So he did that for 2.5 hours. He went in circles out there. You know, and I'm just
crazy.
imagining a brooding captain with a 9mm, and he's got lines of coke. And
It's Cape Fear, dude.
it really is Cape Fear.
It's Robert De Niro in Cape Fear.
Right. And there's just empty bottles of rum, you know, like rolling around the captain's deck, you know, every time he takes a hard turn. And eventually the guy just decides to head back to shore. I don't know what, like, what's the end game? What are you going to do, you know? Like, the whole thing's so stupid. It's like classic drunk logic, you know?
Yeah.
So when he gets back to shore, the cops are waiting for him, the Coast Guard's waiting for him, and if you look up this guy and just check out his picture, because he looks really angry in the picture.
What's his name?
I don't need Mark Bailey. Is that what I said? Yeah, Captain Mark Bailey.
Captain Mark
36 years
Bailey,
old.
here we go.
So if you're listening,
Oh,
please
yeah.
check out.
Oh, yeah.
He looks
man.
like he's maybe not having the best of days.
No, he's a little disturbed.
I'm guessing, you know, Mark's probably going to be a retired captain after this point. I'm not sure, you know, you get past that on your resume.
No, I think that's
Moving forward.
yeah, that's tough. Old Mark.
It really is a Cape Fear. There's actually a movie sort of based loosely around that same. I can't place the movie, but when you said that, I know I've seen it now. You know,
Yeah.
It was Nicole Kidman, and
Nicole Kidman.
and another guy and a crazy captain. You know.
Yeah,
But-
he's like in his orange jumpsuit here in
Yeah.
prison.
I think he's going to be in there
mugshot.
for. Well, actually, he did, you know, he probably won't be in prison that long. He didn't actually shoot anybody.
He just
What are you going to get him for?
It's funny too because there's some pictures of him with like fish, you know, on like more positive guide trips.
Right.
He
there's
just
probably,
had
he's
a
probably
bad
got a
day
website.
where he just snapped.
Yeah, like, and it all started when a kid went and grabbed a beer out of his pail. You know, the captain's up there with a pail full of beers. And he's
Oh
just
my
ready to
gosh.
shoot up the place.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that is.
Oh.
You want to hear another? So here's something I saw recently. This is on Facebook. So there's a professional angler I'm friends with. In fact, actually, I don't know that we're friends on Facebook, but I saw someone shared the post or whatever. But I know this guy. I've actually done shoots with him before. His name's Johnny Candle. So he's a professional walleye fisherman. So he fishes tournaments.
Candle.
Candle, and it's Jonnie, I believe. That's how
Johnny Candle.
Yeah.
That's got to be a fake walleye fishing name, right?
It's pretty great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So I guess he was pre-fishing for a big walleye tournament up at Devil's Lake, And you should look this up. Well, I don't know if you can find it on Facebook or not, but if you look up Johnny Candle on Facebook, maybe you can see his posts, recent posts. But he posted pictures of traps that he found, fish traps that he found on Devil's Lake. Meaning,
like underwater traps?
So what these guys are doing, they're getting, like, one of them looks like a wastebasket, a big, like, almost like a laundry basket, you know, like those tall laundry baskets. You ever seen those?
Yeah.
So it's rigged up so that you catch your walleye, right? You've had a heck of a day, man. You've caught these big walleye. You put them in there, and then you somehow make sure that lid stays closed. Okay, but it's got holes in it, you know, so there's water moving through it. And then they dump that thing, they anchor it. And then, you know, if it's like a team tournament or something, you can't do this in a pro-am because your amateur is like supposed to be policing you, you know. But there's a lot of team events and stuff, you know, in these competitive, you know, fishing derbies. And so what's happened is these guys, they you know, caught all these fish before the tournament, and then they must go over to these baskets, you know, and take the fish and put them in the live well, and, you know, that's how they're cheating. But so Johnny Candle found like 2 of them.
One of them's a dog kennel.
Yeah.
Did you see that one? I just purchased that dog kennel, so it's obvious.
Well,
to me.
Hey, that could be useful. 2 uses there.
So you think so what they're doing is they're fishing the week leading up to a tournament, and then when the tournament starts, they just go out to their traps and collect?
I believe so. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
That's terrible.
Isn't that terrible?
It is terrible.
Isn't it amazing what human beings like are capable of?
Is that just like amateur guys doing that with money prizes kind of a thing? Or is that pros doing it in professional tournaments?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
How bizarre is that?
But dude, whenever you get, you know, this is with anything, but I've seen it in bass tournaments, walleye tournaments, when you get a big group of people, you know, you're going to have a percentage of those people, you know, in any group of people. There's going to be a percentage that are real scumbags, you know.
Oh, for sure.
And so you know, these tournament directors, they kind of get an idea too who's a little shady. You know what I mean? They keep a special eye on some of these guys. But yeah, it's happened. I've seen it happen, you know, on smaller regional bass tournaments, like in the Ozarks. You know, Missouri, I know there's a cheater, big-time cheater, that was, you know, essentially the same kind of... He was catching fish and putting them in a basket near a dock, but he would pitch into that basket, and they'd bite. Because the fish haven't eaten in a while, you know?
Yeah,
they're in this basket
desperate.
stuck, yeah.
But how do you pull a fish out of a basket?
He had it rigged so that it would just, it would like open up underwater. You know, it was a whole system.
It's kind of brilliant, you know.
Yeah, but
evil geniuses
only
in
use
this
that
world.
brilliance for good.
Yeah, no, that doesn't always happen. I mean, some of these guys work so hard to be crooked. Like, if they only use their brilliance for good, they could change the world, you know.
Oh, I know, dude. It's crazy.
It's like all these hackers, but that is ridiculous.
Isn't that
ridiculous.
something?
But I am fascinated by those stories. Like when, you know, we talked about, it might have been one of our earlier podcasts about the big scandal up in Brainerd, the ice fishing thing, and these guys were coming from somewhere else, and they were giving them lie detector tests, you know, and I was just like, as annoying as that story is, it is fascinating to see like how it's dealt with and how far you push people, and then like, are they innocent? Like, are you really screwing with a guy that maybe legitimately caught it? And like being caught in that storm would be a nightmare, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost like that Detro scenario, that
right.
poor guy.
Well,
and by the way, on Johnny's post, there was over 500 comments.
Yeah,
you know, so
it's
there's
a big
just
deal,
a battle
dude.
raging on it. Yeah, people are all fired up about it. You know?
It's a big deal. I mean, if, you know, there's nonsense going on, you know, and who knows? You never know. It could be a bigger pro. It most likely isn't, but you never know.
He said in the comments he didn't actually find either of them.
Oh, okay.
He had somebody had sent him pictures of them, but he put it up to make a point. You know,
yeah.
Like, this is absolutely obnoxious.
Yep.
I wouldn't even think to use a dog kennel for a walleye cage.
I know, and that's something. But speaking of, like, on the same, you know, still talking about walleye fishing. I found this fascinating. It doesn't have to do with cheating or anything. It has to just do with a really great walleye fisherman that I actually worked with quite often. His name's Joe Okada. He posted on, actually it was either on I think it was on Facebook recently. So he's a, real competitive walleye fisherman. He's done really well in walleye tournaments. Well,
he's pretty well known. Like, I know that.
Yeah. So he's fishing out of a Bass Cat. Okay, he's sponsored by Bass Cat Boats. Well, Bass Cat is a bass boat manufacturer.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Bass Cat makes a walleye boat, but he's running a bass boat this season. He's running out of a Bass Cat bass boat, and he finished second in this National Walleye Trail tournament on Green Bay in a bass boat. And I'm like, I've like, that's really incredible when you think of how big a water these walleye guys fish in.
Because those bass boats aren't going to do as well in big breakers, right?
No. Yeah.
You don't have that deep V or...
Right. Bass boats are like, they're basically terrible in rough water.
Right.
And so it's incredible. He says that he always just wanted to have a bass boat, But I'm like, and he's sponsored by Bass Cat, so he's getting to know the product and everything this year, but I'm just like blown away. It's remarkable that he's
cool.
As a guy as competitive as he is, I would say that running a bass boat is definitely putting you in a disadvantage. And yet, dude, I mean, he plays second.
Yeah, because I'm assuming all those big walleye events, they're always on big chunks of water.
Well,
right?
dude, and so much of it is trolling, and I don't know how he's trolling out of a bass boat.
Yeah.
So
good for him. He's a pretty young guy too, right?
Yeah,
like he's in his 30s.
Great guy. Yeah. Great fisherman. But I thought I saw that. I was like, that is really something. That's a heck of a story. I just never heard of that before.
Gonna have to root for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one thing if the platform, the bass boat platform is a great platform if you're casting, or pitching, which you'll do from time to time, in walleye fishing. But trolling is such an important part of walleye fishing that I'm just like, how is he? Because he's got a troll. I'm like,
without a doubt.
I'd love to see how he's doing it.
Have you ever seen a bass fisherman troll in competition?
No, you can't. It's illegal.
They don't even allow it?
Right.
Why is that?
Because it's, according to bass fishermen, it's not sporting.
It would just seem way harder,
Well, it could, like, it's
I suppose
just...
you could, if they were set up the right way, you could probably make a killing.
Oh, yeah, I think you could do really well trolling for bass, and that's the problem, is that the thinking is that it's not sporting in the bass fishing world.
Did you get to see the entire footage of my Leech Lake shoot?
Yes. Nicely done.
Did you make you mad though that you weren't there fishing?
You know what? I've seen so many instances of great fishing. I filmed great fishing, and I'm not doing it. So it's just like, what else is new?
It's the same. You're just getting beat up.
It's just you doing it now. What was that last fish? Was that a 5-pounder, dude?
I don't know.
I gotta tell you, it's so funny. And someone commented on it too. Like, you were using the most god awful spinner.
They were hitting anything,
And it's a perfect example. If anybody, people that are listening that don't live in Minnesota, just watch the Leech Lake Beatdown. What did you title it?
Leech Lake Pre-Spawn Chaos.
Yeah, watch that video. It's recent. Go to our YouTube channel, and you'll see that this is why people consider bass in Minnesota to be green carp. Because Pete goes out there, doesn't even know Leech Lake, goes into one area with the most god-awful, ugly spinnerbait ever, and just kicks their...
I was so proud of myself, because I literally looked at satellite images of where you could tell they were summer images, I'm like, I'm going to go where the vegetation is going to be,
Yeah.
It's not going to be there now. And I tried 3 spots before I found them. And then when I found him, it was just done. Like, I didn't even have to do anything. I just kept, the wind was going the right direction for 2 days. I would just pull up to the front of the bay and float the other direction, just turn around and go over and over again. And I was nervous because I lost a bunch of big fish due to wind noise.
Right.
And that GoPro acting weird, too. You know,
Right.
I had some footage that was just thrown out, so I had to throw out some big fish, but I'm like, geez. I started going through all the footage, and it was relentless.
You really, I got to tell you, you excel, and maybe you put some thought into it beforehand, but the one-liners, you were just dropping some one-liner bombs, dude. I'm like...
I just had time, you know? Like, I wasn't overthinking it. I was just having such a good, like, a natural good time, you know?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I was kind of making myself chuckle when I looked at that stuff back. And that stuff's hard to find, too. So eventually, when I realized I said something funny, I would stop that GoPro and start it again so I knew where to find it, you know?
Yeah.
Almost like catching a fish. But, yeah, that was a great trip. So please watch it.
Was that last one... and by the way, you're freaking killing it on your thumbnails now. I mean...
Yeah, that's
awesome.
That's just that phone app. You know,
I use a different one, and I use Pixlr. It's called Pixlr, which is awesome too. But dude, like your California kid, like that's great, dude.
You know what that reminded me of was the opening to Full House. You know, like after I got done with it and went back to it, I'm like, oh my god, I think that looks like Full House. You know,
but I want to get where you go, everywhere you go. My wife loves that show. So I never watched it growing up. I was like, I couldn't stand sitcoms like that. But I was listening to Howard Stern and watching his Channel 9 show, I think.
Right.
So was that how big was that last fish that you caught, the closer?
And this is the thing, I don't know. It was easily the biggest fish I caught over the 2 days. And the best part about it was I was pondering leaving. I had just lost that musky. I put that musky in there too. You couldn't see the musky, but I could see him as clear as day.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And then I realized that's the fish, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a big fish, because I didn't have a fish fight like that where I wasn't in control.
It was
the whole trip,
dude.
Yeah, it was taking me down. I had 20-pound braid on, and I was like, because I broke off, you know, on one other fish. And by the way, that one that broke off sucked because I could see him down there thrashing with that huge spinnerbait in his mouth, and it was a big fish. And I think I caught so many bass that day, I just wore that braid down, you know, that sandpaper mouth, you know, just wore. It wasn't like a pike bite or anything, but it sucked because I tried to catch him with a net. I was following him around trying to hunt him. I mean, I couldn't get close enough to him, you know, so I hope he eventually shook it because that thing was heavy too.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so then I finally land this.
What, do you like a
fish.
5-pounder?
I think so, but I don't know. I lost all scale reference. I just had no idea. But I literally lifted the fish up and I was screaming, "This is the closer. This is how you do it." You see me doing that? In that moment, the GoPro, like the SD card filled up.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah,
like
that sounds about right.
I literally cut it off the second before the SD card stopped.
Oh my!
And it couldn't have been a better finish because I'm like, well, this is all so obvious. You know, this is like the perfect finish. So
nice.
Yeah, I had a
so
long
it actually
boat
worked out like the way it
worked
should.
out perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah,
good
it
to hear.
had been running for 6 hours.
I thought you were saying it went the other way, but yeah, no. Awesome.
No. It was like fate all tied into one. And then I had a long boat ride back, and I just opened up a beer and lit a cigar and threw my feet up. You know, I was so proud of myself. I'm like, yeah, this is how you do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so please check it out because it is lighting YouTube on fire right now.
It's on fire. I mean, it's
so
on fire.
All my blood, sweat, and tears is totally worth it. So
awesome. Well, I want to just wrap up because I got to get up at 4 a.m.
I was just gonna wrap up for you.
So, but on the whole bass note, okay, I want you to know, Pete. Like I believe this is a team tournament. I could be wrong on this, but if it is a team tournament, wouldn't it be something if we fished the Blackfish Classic on Lake Minnetonka July 29th? It's July 29th, $10,000 for first place.
Are you inviting me?
Well, I'm you know, we can. Do you still have that ugly spinnerbait?
No, I lost it.
Oh. Well, then never mind. We shouldn't fish it then.
Well, keep in mind,
it had to be the spinnerbait.
There's a tournament out of Wabasha every weekend in the summer.
Yeah.
Not $10,000, but it would be kind of fun, you know?
Well, it'd be fun showing up in your boat, too, you know? Like, surrounded by $80,000, you know, bass boats.
In that Todd Rowe guy, you know, that's always
Todd Rao, is that how you say it?
Todd Rao.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He seems like a nice
Super
guy. He's
fan.
over there, and he's involved in that whole situation over there. He's always inviting us to come over there. So, and by the way, when we talked about last podcast where I thought I might have had some sort of cigar deal.
Right.
I was pro staffing cigars, so I talked to these guys, and they're really good guys. They're from the cities, but they actually have a podcast about cigars.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they have a website, a really nice website that rates cigars, and they're just like cigar aficionados, you know, but they're like average dudes with jobs.
Okay.
But they just wanted me to come on the podcast, and I was like, well, for sure, I'll do it. But I'm like, you know, I'm really a white trash cigar guy. Like, I smoke backwoods cigars, which are just like gas station cigars, and I just love them, you know. And they're like, that's awesome, you know, just come on and talk about your backwoods. So you can look for me. I'll be sure and keep everybody posted when I make an appearance on the cigar podcast. And his point was, we probably share a lot of, you know, demographics. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point, you know.
So how did he find us?
He just saw the show somehow. You know,
Is he a fisherman?
I
Are they fishermen?
They're fishermen, yeah. Because he sent me a picture
cool.
of like he was up on it must have been Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, or something, holding a big trout. He was like, "This was yesterday," you know. I sent him my phone number, and he started texting me. So it's just kind of cool thing to do.
Yeah, that's for sure, absolutely, very cool.
All right, well, we better let you get to bed, and
Yeah,
I got a puppy to attend to. He's probably pissed on the floor 3 times since I've been in here, I'm sure.
So Pete, keep your fingers crossed. We have 2 potential hurdles here. Okay, so number 1 is like audio here on this GoPro. Keep your keep one set of fingers crossed that works, and then the other set of fingers crossed that I can transfer this footage from Hampton Inn. I've got good enough internet. I dropped $5 tonight for a session that'll last me until 6 p.m. tomorrow for premium internet.
Oh my God, dude! What are you, just living large these days?
Not really. I'm actually just living on credit card right now because I've got a lot of invoices that are, you know, will be coming in. You know, money will be coming in. I got a lot of outstanding invoices, but right now, I just gotta gotta hunker down a bit. So.
And one other question, just to bore our fans, was that SD card you sent me last time my SD card? Because you had some. No? Okay.
No, they're all my SD cards, but what I do have of yours, because this is really exciting, I have 2 of your readers, SD card readers.
You don't have any of my SD cards?
I'll look, but I don't think so.
I remember when I gave you the Mississippi shoot, you ever get those back to me? Well, whatever. I'll take this out any later. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, this is podcast number 18. We need to get Greg to bed because he needs to be alert and sharp for work tomorrow. I was going to try and go fishing in the morning, and I think I'm losing my steam because I don't know if I could get up at 4 in the morning. I had 2 giant margaritas at the Mexican restaurant that are dragging me down. If anybody noticed I was drinking water, that might be a podcast first for Pete. So
you know what you should do? You should go fishing and then try to edit something as quickly as you can and put it up Tuesday.
Well, that's the problem. I don't think I'm going to get out tomorrow. Even if I did, it would be such a quick window. I was going to go try and find some trout, but it's like right now I should be packing the car. You know, it's going to take me an hour if I leave right now and just start packing away. But so you're not going to be around next Tuesday, Wednesday to do any fishing, right?
No.
Because I think I'm launching my catfish season this coming Tuesday or Wednesday.
I saw Luke Hench's had a nice flathead.
I did too. That's when I started getting fired up, and Detro made the nice offer to do some fishing.
I would get out with Detro, with Luke.
Well, I think the Minnesota's still screwed, so I don't know if I don't know where Luke was fishing. Did you see where he was fishing?
I don't know, but he figured it out.
Minnesota's insane right now.
I know.
It's like 20 feet up from where it was in the winter. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what to do in those situations.
I don't either. All right. Well, everybody, remember, don't leave your crawlers in the sun. We promise to go back and fix audio for 17. So if you gave it a shot and it made you angry, I'm going to see if I can fix that for you. If not, just watch it on YouTube. It's the best way to hear it. And YouTube. It's messed up too. Oh, it's just the way it's plugged in, huh?
Yeah,
so listen to it
you're only getting it. You're only getting one. You're either getting a left channel or a right channel, and depending on how you're listening to it, you might not hear anything.
Right. All right. But we're gonna try and fix that anyway. So, Podcast 18 is a wrap. It's been unbelievable listening to you talk about stuff as usual, Greg.
Well, yeah, and I feel the same way.
Thank you. And we will see everybody next week. Thanks, everyone.